Hey, yo, what's going on, you guys? We have a brand new type of video today. We have the one and only RezSnapper on the channel. We're going to be talking about the brand new cards, Series 4, Series 5 cards that released into Spotlight caches or into Snap Packs within the 6 months, and we are going to rank them for you guys based on kind of what we were thinking originally and where they are at now. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. We are joined today by the absolute info goats, or the beautiful RezSnapper right here today. Rez, how are you doing, and where can all of these absolutely amazing people find you?
Doing very well. Thank you very much for having me. So yeah, you can find me on YouTube is really where I do most of my stuff. So RezSnapper. You might find the fish RezSnapper. Make sure you autocorrect it to RezSnapper. It was a pun. Don't know why I went with a pun for my name, but yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm on Blue Sky and a few other places, but I don't really use them. YouTube is my gig.
Yeah, so all of his info also will be down in the description below. If you guys have not checked out Rez, he is the best to do it. Like, legit the best to do it right now. If you guys need any, like, new card info whatsoever, whether it is Season Pass card, whether it is brand new Series 4, Series 5 card, Game Mode card, or whatever, like, data mines itself to, definitely check out Rez's content. Today, we are doing something a little interesting. So, Rez and I, we talked the other day, and I was like, you know what would be really cool is if we came together and we went through all of the cards we've rated for the first half of the year and kind of see how they stand now currently. Of course, this is kind of going to be a little bit more personal opinion when it comes to these cards. Of course, when we were theory crafting for these cards in general, it was also personal opinion, kind of also looking at the scope of the meta itself too. So we're basing these ratings right now as they are currently, but we're going to talk about each card, about how we rated them before they released, kind of to see kind of how they hold up at the moment. And the first season, of course, was the Dark Avengers, which started off with Victoria Hand. So what were your thoughts on Victoria Hand before she actually released, and now where she's at?
So my opinion has not really changed on Victoria Hand.
Okay.
Before she came out, I absolutely loved her. Shield is my favorite archetype, and she felt like the missing piece to make them competitive. Coming in as a new collector or a new player, the Devil Dino deck was like one of the best ones to start off with. So I always loved it from that. But true pure Shield itself, generating cards, never felt like you had a chance, whereas Victoria Hand completely changed that.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit lower on her because that style of deck wasn't necessarily like my favorite style, and I think I rated her like an average, like kind of in the middle kind of situation, because I was like, Devil Dino. I mean, yeah, Kate Bishop's a thing, you know, these shield cards are as is, but like it's not the same as, like, Loki is not the same as it was. Like, if this came out when original Loki was out, this card would have been nuclear. But
yeah,
it's good. This card is genuinely still really solid right now. It's like a little bit more narrow what you're playing with it, but what it does in those decks is literally what wins you games. So I think, do you think it's safe to say she's kind of a 3.5, maybe a 4-star card at the moment?
Yeah, I think I'd go higher because what's she been? I've seen like a lot of demon stuff with her recently. I gave her 4.5 originally, but yeah, I'm happy with 4 now.
Yeah, I think definitely think there's could be an argument for 4.5. I think actually this week there's been a lot less Killmonger, and I think Killmonger is something that kind of mitigates what she can do. So I think 4.5 is still valid for what you said originally.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, and then next we got Moonstone. So this was a card, like, on release, Moonstone didn't have the best ongoing cards to go with her, and people were not playing her with Victoria Hand, which I think was another issue. But, you know, prior going into that, like, there was the Spectrum ongoing style list. Mr. Fantastic didn't give the same power he does at the moment. He was only +2 to adjacent locations. And then, you know, people were still playing, like, Mystique stuff, and, like, I feel like this card just wasn't fully optimized at the time of its release, and I think that's why people were pretty low on this card, even though the stats were still a 4.6 itself. And I think I was kind of low, but I said this is a card that's going to be good for an investment piece in the future. What did you think about Moonstone?
Yeah, similarly to Victoria Hand, absolutely loved the look of her. I gave her 4.5 as well originally as well, actually. There was definitely an element of personal bias coming into this because Thunderbolts, like classic Thunderbolts, one of my favorite comics. and I just love the character, love the artwork, and love her style. And yeah, immediately I was like, yeah, Victoria Hand, this is the way. I came up with like one of the few actual good decks that I've brewed this year, which was like I think I called it like a shield trap deck, where you fill a location as quickly as possible with like Martyr, Iron Patriot, because those two synergize well together. Block it, and then in the middle you play Moonstone with like Mr. Fantastic, original Mr. Fantastic and stuff, and Victoria Hand and arrows and whatever. So yeah, loved her then. I think she's probably not 4.5 for me, but I still think she's really good and she has some surprise factor. So I'd probably put her around 4 or 3.5.
Yeah, I think 4 and 3.5. I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards 3.5 right now, but I think when we get to some of these cards later on in the list, like especially like the new X-Men kind of season, I think we kind of might make a little bit of adjustments, just, foreshadowing for Prodigy potentially here. Just some kind of situations there, I think kind of elevate this card itself. But the next card we have here, which honestly, I was going through all my videos because, like I try and make a new card video a week too. And I was like, wait, I did not make a card video for Bullseye. I don't know if I was out of town or what was going on, which is crazy because this card in general, when you're looking at this card's initial release, you're looking at where it's at now. It's kind of stayed the same a little bit. I think there's been, of course, power creep happening in Snap in general. But I think this card itself really hasn't changed, even with the OTA change, it losing a point of power, which is the power we have on screen here is a 3.2. It was originally a 3.3 or a 3.3, not a 3.3. I don't know where I'm getting the decimal from. But this card itself has kind of just stayed the exact same, I feel like, and coasted throughout the entire course of its life cycle so far.
Yeah, agree. I think he's lucky to have only had only just had like a point of power taken off of him. I gave him 3.5 originally, which I think was, in hindsight, I think I was sort of like hitting all of the right points in the review that I did, but just didn't clock onto the actual potential power level of him. And he's so consistent, feels so consistent, like a really reliable like sort of conquest deck as well. I mean, I said that. I'm pretty sure I've never won Conquest with him. But yeah, playing his deck with like the Frigger and Collector stuff. So I think it's probably at least 4.5 for me.
4.5 for you? I think 4.5, I think what we're looking at here, this scale of, I want to, just mention this for you guys watching, too. When we look at the scale, this is just the basis of these cards in general. We're not basing this off of, okay, so we have these 1 star to 5 stars, but there's also these other 200 cards, on this list that we're comparing them to. So I think a 4.5 star when it comes to these new released cards that have come out this season is valid. I definitely think, I don't think it's Victoria Hand level. I think there's an argument that could be made for it. But I think even though the only way to really counter Bullseye is either to hit him with a Red Guardian or to Mobius, because Super Adaptoid of course is not out yet, and Super Adaptoid's the only other hard counter to it. But there's not really a big way to offset what's going on here with Bullseye, so I think it is a very strong card. And then next we got Ares. What were you thinking about Ares when Ares first released, Rez?
I gave him 3.5.
Okay.
So narrow. I mean, basically only in one deck. I was actually, when I was thinking about us making this video earlier, I was like, is there any chance for him in any other type of deck? And I was just like, I just don't see it. So, I mean, I'd probably drop him to I think he's good.
Right.
But if a card is good only in one deck, it's a little bit less appealing to me. So I'd see him at 3 or something like that.
Yeah, no, I think I was high on Ares because while he was super niche in that style deck, what he did in that deck was great. And I think you can still play him maybe, and I say maybe, in 2, but it's you play him in just Scar, you play him in Scar on, or you play him in Scar, but at the same time, you look at the downside of some of these 410s now, and if you just want the consistency, you're not playing Ares out because you're not trying to worry about that. So I think a 3-star is also, I think, very valid for this where he's at currently. He's not a set 12 card, he's the 13th or 14th card, even in those style list itself.
Yeah, agreed.
And now we got Joaquim. Good old Joaquim Torres. This card has been through a couple different changes. When it first released, it was a 3-cost, 4-powered card. Now it is a 2-cost, 2-powered card, I do believe. But I don't necessarily know. They were kind of coping, I think, in the dev video with Clea's release, trying to make it so you can actually play Joaquim with the Flames of Faultine, you know? So it actually gets some value now. But this card, I think, is pretty bad, pretty rough. Not the worst card, but I think this card is not great.
Yep, I agree completely. This was a huge miss for me. I gave him I gave him 4 stars on the old version, which is just like not working. Yeah, I think the new version is. I think he can be fun. The most fun thing I do with him is when new 2-cost cards come out.
Okay.
And I can't get them either. They're at like the end of a Sanctum Showdown track or Dino track, whatever. I play JTF, either Moonstone or Wong, and then like Maria Hill, and just try and generate the new 2-cost card, which I've done a few times and is very good. But that's obviously just a meme, and that's just me having fun. So yeah, I kind of wish he was better. I do think there is hope for him. I think the clear stuff is interesting.
Yeah.
I think skills stuff is interesting because rather than just 3 slots, you have repeatable slots. So yeah, I hope the future is bright, but it's like 2. I'd probably give him 2.
Yeah, I think 2's fair. We'll see with any of like the horde stuff. Like if that helps you, like you generate the power of the horde, because that new mechanic also sounds like very interesting. If there is like some of those cards itself, I think it is also really funny that you mentioned the Maria Hill thing with like a Wong or Moonstone kind of thing. Because when Kid Omega first was like released or whatever, one of my viewers was like, you know what, we're gonna play a Nimrod Destroy deck, but we're gonna run a Maria Hill Grandmaster and see if we can just generate
perfect
Omega for Nimrod.
Consistent.
So consistent, so funny. But like, if we are talking about 2-cost cards, and something I was really high on Thaddeus Ross, which I know not a lot of people were super high on this card, but I was like, you know what, Haivo finally gets something great. It's good for Hela. But this came out during a very heavy Wiccan meta where everyone was hitting their energy curve every single game. So not only did this card fall flat then, this card falls flat, I still think, now. Like, you just play Adam Warlock instead. Even with, Fantasticar stuff, it's like, do you actually play Thaddeus Ross? You could, but I still think the Adam Warlock is just better, especially because this is a targeted draw, and you're not putting, 5 different 10-powered cards, in your deck, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this was one of the lowest cards that I rated for me. I gave him 1.5 originally. I think my reasoning at the time was basically like the kinds of decks that you would put him in, like they already work, they already do well enough drawing their cards and stuff. And yeah, card draw is super powerful. But it was the reliability on your opponent not spending their energy. Yeah, I don't like him, and he probably is a 1.5 for me still now. I did play a little bit of him with Fantasticar, and just thought it was not good.
No, he's just bad. I think 1.5, you had the best rating, and I think it's the honest rating for where he is at still currently. But a card that I think has gotten slightly better. I mean, it started out as a 3-4, now as a 3-5. We do have Redwing. I personally haven't played a lot of the chicken itself, but what were your thoughts on Redwing, and what do you think about it now?
Yeah, hated it at the time. Gave it 2. I suppose that's not hate. It's tepid dislike. So yeah, gave it 2. And oh my god, the buff, and also just like it. Well, to be fair, I suppose we have had Zorn since then as well. So the an important new trigger for him. I sort of love him now. I run him in I've got this deck at the moment. Unfortunately, it's bugged because Captain Marvel can't see Hydra Stomper's power. But it's basically a Zorn. Yeah, and it's this deck that I've cooked. It's the best deck I've made in ages, and I sort of can't really play it because they're both in it. and it requires too much. Like, you kind of have to play them at the same location. It's just wonky, it's bad. But it's so fun. It's like Topaz, Zorn, Red Wing. And the Red Wing is often just pulling even something small. It can do something like a Hellion and stuff. But yeah, it's just solid now. I think at the time it came out, I don't think there was enough triggers. I didn't really think that people would be doing like the Dracula type stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the time too. But I like him now. I think he's solid. I'll give him probably 3.
You think you put him above Ares?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I have a lot of different star rankings here on this list. I think we're going to find a way to probably condense and put some cards up here like towards the end, but I think that's valid. Now, Diamondback here, okay? Diamondback, I think, for a while was a sleeper card because Luke Cage was so prominent in the meta. Sanctum Showdown came out the exact same week with Laufey, so more people were also running Luke Cage because of that. But Diamondback itself, I think, is one of the best cards released this year, which is it's a little bit more niche and narrow for what it does, but the value it adds to locations, this is more often than not never just a 3/3. Like this is like gets huge. You don't get to see the power on Diamondback itself, but the output it does to your opponents is what really elevates this. And I think I had this as like a 4-star, 4.5 star because of just the power swing you can play with this card.
Yeah, I gave her 4 in my preview video. Thought she sounded really strong. Thought the numbers sounded really strong. Exactly like you say, she had a difficult time in that very early period when she came out. But she's just so good. She puts out so much power. And like I've definitely had like games where I'm against Afflict, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'll be all right. And then like they slam a diamond back on the final turn. You just watch like a chunk of like 10 power or whatever come off your location. You're like, oh damn, like yeah, crazy swings.
No, what I was using her in too is like some Toxic Surfer since the Hazmat change, which kind of nuked Affliction quite a bit, her going to a 3 cost. But using her as like a power enabler with just a Hazmat Diamondback, not even having to play Surfer out, just to be able to win games, kind of like getting a Shawl kind of like power in a sense. I think this is probably, I'm going to say 4.5 stars still currently for what she does, and I might put her above Bullseye.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And then next we got Isan. What did you think about the original launch of Isan? Well, it was data mined. It was going to be crazy cool. It was going to be so cool.
Man, the little boy that could.
Yep.
And we lost him. Yeah, that data mine version was so good. Maybe we'll get something cool like that soon. But yeah, I gave him 4, and he did get. I think he did get buffed even beyond that, didn't he? Even from his original version.
Yeah, I think so.
I may be wrong. But yeah, I think that was a miss from me. He's so expensive, so it takes a while to get him out, and then it's the lack of consistency on what you're going to pull, and then the almost mismatch of the kind of decks that you would play him with, like, because I guess Fury is one of the maybe better synergies, but then I don't think he's particularly good. I'd probably be going around 2.5, or maybe even lower than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I rated him as like a 2-star. I think he's better than Joaquim, just because there's some better situations that work with Isan, but still, like you said, it's like, is he going to actually pull down what I want him to pull down? Like, do I play this with Infinity Ultron to get a stone down? Do I play this with Nick Fury? Do I play this even in a shield style deck? Do I play it in Airshim? Like, you're like, oh yeah, this works with Airshim. It's created cards. You know, this is going to be great. But it's like, no, it's not really that great. But I don't think he's as bad as Thaddeus. I think him and Joaquim can kind of, you know, float around either 2A or 2B. But I just think it was just a feels bad, you know, for him.
Yeah.
Which brings us next to Starbrand, which Starbrand is kind of, you know, like an Ares kind of situation, kind of more narrow, kind of boring, kind of big dumb idiot stuff. But this card is a 3/10, and of course it does, you know, give the power to adjacent, you know, the other locations, the +3, if it has its ongoing. But like almost never does this have its ongoing. ever going on. So it's just a raw 310 coming on the board. So like I think this still is a great card. It's just super boring, super narrow, but like you can't negate that it's a 310, right?
Yeah, I agree. I gave him 3.5 originally. I think that's probably where I am now. I think he's become more interesting with Nightmare. That's the most interesting place to play him. And I do generate him from time to time in shield stuff, and he's all right.
Yeah, I think 3.5 is fair. Definitely not Moonstone. Like it's Moonstone, there's like a bridge, a long gap between Moonstone and Starbrand. But I do think he's better than Red Wing and Ares at the moment. And then we have Firehair, Rez. If I'm not mistaken, you and I both were super high on this card.
Oh, man. I was like, I was like, she's broken. She's like, my friend and I send each other a list at the start of each season, like our own personal rankings. And yeah, I think I was like, oh yeah, she's broken. She's going to be nerfed. I got on my list that I gave her 4. I think in my data mine video, I think I gave her like 6 stars and like my creme de la creme score. But yeah, man, I still think she's got potential, but she hasn't been cracked yet. The code has not been cracked.
Yeah, no, I think she's still like incredibly good. I think one of my favorite things to watch is people do the Galactus Firehair, where they set up everything behind an invisible woman and they get Firehair to go off, and it's a huge Firehair end of the game. And I know Jet's been messing around with all sorts of different Phoenix Force lines with like Firehair and stuff too. Like, I still think this is a great card. And like you said, like I also had her as creme de creme for me as well. Like I thought she was gonna be like the best card ever. But I do think she's a 3.5. I think she's probably right behind Moonstone. I think logistically, like I would love to put her at 4 stars. I would love to, but like realistically speaking, I think she's still a solid, but above just like good. I think she's just slightly above it, so that's why it's the 3.5 kind of situation here.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then next we got Conchu. I don't know about you, but I played a lot of Conchu. And like when this card first came out, you know, it was around the same time as like the first Ghost Rider. I don't think they necessarily were the same week. They may have been the same week. But there was the synergy there. This card definitely is a very combo heavy card, but it gave another out for discard. So it wasn't just Apocalypse, it wasn't just Bullseye. You have another 3rd or 4th different way to play discard, and I think I really appreciated that. I think I gave it probably a higher star than it should have been, but I think probably closer to like the 3-star range.
Yeah, that's fair. I gave him 4 originally, and I love him. It's exactly as you say, that extra out that you get, like Modok and whatever, you get the Apocalypse back, and you get that Conchu back, and you can do it twice. Feels so good. Sif, so good. And just bringing back, even if it's like a swarm that you're bringing back, so often getting into a difficult location as well, or like you block off another location with swarm. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Conchu. I think I'm probably a little higher on it now. Okay. I would probably give it something like 4, but I am happy to be fought down.
Yeah, I think I think having the extra option, like you're playing it with Corvus and stuff now, and these Apocalypse style shells, is very interesting because you have the extra energy to do some extra like cheeky stuff too, and it doesn't have to be just a Gore or have to be an Iron Man to get value, which I think is pretty cool. I think I'm honestly wavering probably towards 3.5 and above Starbrand as we just continue to push Starbrand a little bit lower and lower down the 3.5s. I think that's totally a good kind of area for him. It's nothing crazy, but when he pops off, he does, pop off. What about Goliath? This is a very interesting card because I feel like this whole entire What If season, like, is kind of overshadowed a little bit by like the later cards in this season, and of course Captain Carter didn't hit the ground at like such a great pace as a 4 cost. But this card kind of stayed consistent, and ongoing Thanos kind of just continued to take over and just transcend the meta for a long while. What were your initial thoughts on Goliath?
Yeah, I gave him 4 stars. I thought it was kind of that missing piece for just standard ongoing decks or even just Spectrum decks, which became a lot better with him. Just such easy power, reaches really nice levels, feels great with the extra buff from Spectrum, and with Moonstone and Prodigy who came later on. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think he's really good.
Yeah, I think... Is there a world? I know... Actually, no. I was going to say like 5 stars, but I think we have a 5-star card coming up here, and I think that's kind of still a 5-star card. I think... I'm thinking of 4.5 actually, though, for Goliath here. I know that might be a little high, but I'm thinking Sam Wilson still to this day, even with the changes to Sam Wilson during its time. I think Goliath is probably a 4.5, and I think I put it right above Diamondback for raw power output. Victoria Hand being more global. I can't necessarily put that above Victoria Hand, but I think this is where I got it at the moment.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
And then we have Kahori, which this card is getting more love now. But during the week of her release, Galacta was still just better. You know, Gwenpool probably still is just better. So you had all of that going on for it. And there wasn't a lot of decks you were playing where you were honestly having a large abundance of like cards in your hand. So I think that kind of made this card fall flat a little bit during its release. I was pretty high on this card. I was kind of more of a 3.5, 4-star just because it's unexpected power also for your opponents. But you also had to waver, do I have enough cards in my hand to get the value I really want for it? So that's why I was kind of more towards like the 3.5 range for Kahori on release.
Yeah, I gave her 4 originally. I do love her. Well, no, I want to love her. I just found that it was the inconsistency. Like you'll have like I was doing like Shaw Lasher type stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you got like clear in the 1-cost spot there now. I had Agony as well, so kind of a few that you kind of want to hit. But I'm glad that we got clear now. But even playing them, like she never seemed to ping quite the right people, and you have to have so many cards in hand to really make it worth it. So I think she's definitely lower than what I said. I'd probably put her 2.5 to 3, but I do think she feels fine to play these days.
Yeah, I think you put her top of 3, and I might honestly move Starbrand to right above Kahori in 3-star. I think that's probably where we're going to be at.
Yeah, sounds good.
But the next card that released is Strange Supreme. And what were your initial thoughts on Strange Supreme?
Yeah, I definitely thought he was broken as all hell. I gave him 5 stars. Yeah, said he was just absolute filth. Disgusting in Thanos. Just grimly powerful. And yeah, I probably... he has been nerfed. I don't know, I still think he's absolutely tremendous. And that Cosmo, you just play him on 2, Cosmo on 3, and you're just absolutely golden. So yeah, I do think he's certainly one of the best cards that is released.
And I think he's still 5-star. I think he's not going to be the top of 5-star, of course, because we have a card coming up that's, of course, going to be top of 5-star. But I do think the Thanos nerf did definitely affect him in the sense with Thanos not starting in your hand, which kind of, does not optimize some of your draws later on. Of course, Space Stone does draw Thanos for you, which helps. But because you have one less card or one more card in your deck, kind of offsets potential value could have gotten from Strange Supreme. And because less people are running Sam Wilson now, that is a thing that does affect this card. But this card still gets absolutely juiced. No matter, as long as you draw this card, it's almost still a potential, snap condition just because this card's going to get huge. And especially in, the Big Dumb Idiot Thanos, the Scottinos, this card can get to 10 power to give you Scar value. This card just stays consistently good, and I think this is just one of the best cards easily released this year.
Yeah, agreed.
And the next we got Hydra Stomper, which Hydra Stomper, at first, I wasn't super high on this card. Of course, before this card released, we didn't know that Batroc and everything else was going to be coming out, the same exact week.
Yeah.
Whereas if we knew that, maybe we could have rated it better, right?
Yeah, funnily enough, Hydra Stomper might well be the biggest surprise for me. I gave him 3 stars originally. I thought he was like just a decent new, almost this kind of like, along with Sam Wilson as well, kind of this new like auto move sort of, lots of, amping up on the quantity of moves and what you can do with like Silks and Betroku. Sorry, I don't know why I did that weird accent. That's embarrassing.
That's good.
Betroku. And all of that. So I did think he was good. Like I said, gave him 3 stars. Oh my god, I've fallen in love with this card so much. Just that deck that I referenced earlier, where I have got Silk and Craven and all those other things, and you're doing so much movement. It is annoying, and I am not intelligent enough to plan my final turn, because I always seem to mess it up. I'm like, they've all ended up in 2 lanes. That is not quite what I wanted, but the Hydra Stomper is coming down as like a 310, 312 sometimes, and I love him. And the animation is incredible as well, like dragging that fire trail around.
Oh yeah,
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I think.
So for me, he's actually high. It's probably about 4. Yeah, for me.
I've read your mind. I was like, I think I know what Rez is gonna say, so I'm just gonna try and say it same time as him thing. 4-star. I think. No, for our first 4-star, which we're freaking a couple deep in here already.
Yeah.
So I think there's a world where I think we move Bullseye down to 4-star, maybe above Stomper. Just do a little
that's fair.
cleanup. What do you think about Surge, Rez?
Surge. So I gave Surge 4 stars. I think I was a little under appreciative of her. My god, just. I mean the fact that she was then in just every deck didn't really matter, even what the deck is, and now it's probably similar with Mr. Fantastic First Steps as well, but like you can kind of just put him in any deck and you probably will be all right, and that is a sign of an unbelievable card. So yeah, gave her 4, and I think I undercooked.
Yeah, I think we can just say she's the best card that's released this season so far, or this year. I think overall, best card we've released. Well, it's so crazy too. We still have some more 2-cost on here, but like they're not the same level as just the 2-cost meta that we have had this entire year. Which, like, if you look even just at this list here, we got Strange Supreme, we have Goliath, we have Victoria Hand, we have Firehair, we have Joaquin. You have Iron Patriot, you have Sam Wilson, you have Fantastic 4 First Steps, Mr. Fantastic. Like, the 2-cost meta, it's what we got going crazy right now. Of course, that's why Zabu's not a 2-cost, so they don't want to have another, crazy stuff like that, like old Zabu was. But this card is crazy. Like, it is genuinely crazy. Like, if you don't have Mr. Fantastic First Steps, you got Surge. And, like, it is in 40 to 50% of decks right now. Surge, and then also Pedro is in 40 to 50% of decks right now. So if they don't have it on turn 2 or 3, you're in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Next we do have Prodigy, which I was very high on Prodigy because Sam Wilson was also so popular in the meta still at this point too, and it really allows you to be able to get extra Prodigy value, which people are still playing some Sam Wilson, but it's not to the same extent. And Prodigy still is doing pretty decent. But this whole idea of being able to copy the exact text of the card in front of you to have you some other different enablers instead of it having to be like last card you played kind of thing, like with Mystique, I thought was really cool to have just another potential out. Of course, it's a card you kind of have to really think about your plays pretty far in advance and hope that your opponents are not interacting with you, because if they interact with you and offset what you're trying to do, you kind of get cooked. But this card itself, I think, actually is kind of not measured up to my hype for it, but I think has been a pretty genuinely good card.
Yeah, I agree. I gave him 3 stars originally, and I'm probably around there or a little bit higher now. I think he's probably underplayed. I think people are probably sleeping on him a little bit. I've started using him a lot more in shield decks, like doing some like weird stuff with like Infinity Ultron Stones, and even like there's just loads of good targets in shield decks. Like depending on what you need to do, you could hit like a collector, a Victoria hand. You could just re-up your hand with like a Coulson hit or something like that. So there's a lot that you can do, and as you say, the fact that he hits just the text instead of just ongoing or whatever, he is niche and he's good. I think he's good at what he does. So yeah.
We thinking 3.5 stars, right behind Firehair.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, and then we got good old Elixir, another one of those cards that had a great data mine ability that could have been absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, it was going to be good. And, like, even without, you know, it having to have Kid Omega, like, now. But, like, it was one of those situations that I was like, yo, this is actually really cool. You know, why is it not going to release like this? And then it released, and it was like, yeah, I have to wait for a card that comes out next month, hopefully. And then that card that came out the next month was actually, oh, no, we're actually not going to be able to get this card until the following month. So, like, this card is just sitting in your inventory until, like, this past week if you didn't spend the gold to get Kid Omega. And, like, the ability was pretty cool, but it's just, like, the specifics behind, you know, oh, it has to be destroyed last turn kind of thing, as opposed to activate. Like, activate has kind of, you know, gotten, like, been pretty rough until, like, recently, until they made, like, good activate cards, and this was going to be another good activate card, because this feels like a card that helps you kind of, like, set up, which is why Kid Omega's been pretty good, because it's like, I can leave this card on the board and it doesn't have to be the next card or the next card kind of thing. Like, and that's what we were looking for with Activate. But this card was pretty bad, and I think it's still okay, but it's probably a 2-star card, I think, for me still.
Yeah, I agree. I gave him 2 stars originally. I think he's still 2. Like you said, he felt unbelievably awkward to play with that turn before thing. Just doesn't. It doesn't really line up. And yeah, you could do stuff with Kid Omega and stuff. And yeah, I think again, it maybe just needs more future stuff. But yeah, midders.
Maybe I'm gonna put it actually below Joaquin. I think it's weird, but
yeah,
I think it's below.
No, I agree. Yeah, I at least have fun with Joaquin. I don't think I've ever had fun with Elixir.
Now, what about Zorn? I haven't played, personally, a lot of Zorn, but you're talking about your deck you've been playing. You've been playing a lot of Zorn. How do you feel about this card?
Yeah. I gave him 3.5 originally. That's probably about where I am. I think he's... again, this is another one that I honestly think is underplayed for the disruption element. It's not quite Echo levels of... like, Echo is actually... not in the game. She is invisible. I forget my own Echo. Like I'll win a game because they've played non-going, and I'm already sitting there swearing that they've just played Iron Man. I'm like, oh no, they've absolutely killed me. So he's not quite that invisible, but people do forget, and it does mess up their plays, and that element is really fun. But even just doing like the curving into a vulture feels so good. And just being able to move ping all these things around. So yeah, I'm actually a big fan. Yeah, I probably am around 3.5 still.
I think we put him 3.5. Do you put him above Conchu or Prodigy?
No, probably below both of them. Yeah, probably there is good.
We'll see how Sparky interacts with Zord too, because that could actually be pretty fun in the future.
Yeah. More auto move stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it. Sparky's crazy.
Quickly becoming one of my favorite archetypes. I think it's just so much fun.
Then we have Morgan Le Fay. I did not do a lot of testing with Morgan Le Fay. I played against a Morgan Le Fay deck actually like earlier today, which is really interesting. Like I feel like being able to discard or destroy and get Morgan Le Fay value is cool, but it's also like, what exactly are you really trying to do? Is it too late in the game to Morgan Le Fay kind of situation? Do you need to have a Zabu to potentially get it out earlier? Do you also have to have like other cards set up on the board, like a Black Swan, in order to actually like maximize what you're doing here? So like I'm probably lower. Maybe it's a 2.5 star card for me. I think it's probably better than Isan, Joaquin, and Elixir, but I haven't done enough thorough testing with it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I've tried desperately to get Morgan Le Fay to work. I gave her 4 stars originally, so I was really high on her actually. I thought she was going to be incredible, but it was exactly like you say. It's the awkwardness, having other cards to there's so much setup that you need with her. You need to obviously discard or destroy. If you are playing in targeted stuff, that's obviously a bit easier, but you still need other stuff to support it. If you're playing in more general stuff that could potentially hit Morgan Le Fay herself, then you might hit her. I was actually playing her in that kind of deck earlier to tick off some alliance missions and stuff. And yeah, just awkward. She can definitely have the power level, like it is there. You can absolutely stonk if you have got the Black Swan out and stuff. But yeah, it's just a little bit too awkward at the moment. So yeah, 2.5 sounds good to me as well.
All right, which then brings us to the Ancient One, which unreleased felt pretty clunky. Like it just did not feel like a really good necessarily card to play. Like the Tall Mandala is really cool because it sets all your other cards to ongoing cards, which is cool. Like, and it works in like that Victoria hand style shell, which I've seen people playing a lot last season. But she's not really in that deck at the moment. Like people are playing other things instead of her. So I'm kind of wavering towards a 2.5 again. Like Cerebral 5 had its heyday, and it had great value with the Tall Mandala and stuff too. But like, it's one of those situations where Cerebral 5 is not still the deck to be playing right now. Like, you're back to Cerebro 2, you're back to Cerebro 3. If Cerebro 5 was more prominent, I think this would be a higher rated card, but I think I have it probably at a 2/2.5 star right now.
Yep, I agree. I gave her 3.5 originally, and that was on her pre-buffed version as well. Yeah, just certainly at the old one, just straight up bad. Just took too long to get going. Now I don't think I've actually played her yet because I only recently got her. I skipped her for several weeks. But I am going to use her in shield stuff, so I will definitely give that a go with Victoria Hand. But yeah, it's still just fine/good.
Thinking maybe 2.5 below Morgan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
okay.
Perfect.
And then we have Nightmare, which this week was one of the craziest weeks in Snap in general. Nightmare just felt like, oh, well, I'm playing in a Nightmare now. What did their cards hit? Oh, is it going to be a Galactus Infinite, or are they playing just the regular Solid version? What exactly is about to happen? And I think this card, for what it does, was really good. Super, super niche, but it wasn't as super, super scary as I thought it was going to be, pun intended. So I'm thinking probably like a middle of the pack 3.5 star card opposed to a 4.5 or 5 star, just because the tempo loss you get with Nightmare. And I think you touched on it really well in your video for Nightmare itself. The impact that has on your game, unless you have the perfect hand, can be more detrimental than the new abilities you get for the cards.
Yeah, exactly. Agree. I gave him 2.5. This was kind of an interesting score for me because I usually go a bit more on. My scores are usually a bit more on like how much I personally like it and that sort of thing. But I was kind of trying to give my thoughts across on that tempo loss, and just I thought that it wasn't gonna be as consistent and as good as people maybe thought. I think from a fun perspective, unbelievably fun. It's all any of my friends were playing. I mean, it's all anyone was playing really. So, and I personally absolutely love the card. Incredible. Haven't really gone back to it, but they release so many cards these days, it's hard to keep up, isn't it? But so yeah, I gave him 2.5, but he's definitely better than that, and I think he's really fun. So yeah, I agree. Like, you say 3.5?
3.5 or 3. I'm gonna put him on top of 3.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then I want to hear your thoughts on Dormammu. I have heavy bias thoughts when it comes to Dormammu because I absolutely love the card, but what are your thoughts on him?
So, Dormammu. Man, like Dormammu. There he is. Still got that absolutely random. I don't know if you heard. I won this from Thought Park, which is a theme park in the UK. Like, I have no idea what this came through with a magazine. I think. I don't know why they had it. They had this and like Hydro Man and a few others, and I just like, sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's random. But yeah, Dormammu. Gave him 4 stars originally. Thought he looked really powerful. These types of cards, these like big bads, as they supposedly call them. Sorry, I'm going to kick up my light in a little bit as well. The sun is starting to drop in the United Kingdom. Love it when they do these big bads, which have these sort of like explosive abilities and stuff. Incorporating the whole ritual, so it's like a really thematic sort of thing, like you feel like you're doing a seance or whatever. I think I've tried a lot to get him to work. I think he's just a little bit too cumbersome for me.
Hmm.
I do enjoy playing him. I do think he's fun. I think he can do the goods, and he can be scary to go up against when you see they're like building like an X-23 and Wolverine location. Like, oh god, that's gonna kick up and stuff. So I think I'm happy to give him the benefit of the doubt a bit more and probably stick around a similar score that I gave him, but I think he's probably a bit weaker than that.
Yeah, I think realistically he's probably closer to 3.5, like maybe right above Zorn. I have personal bias, and like I would rate him like 4.5, but like in your destroy decks, he's not your primary win con. Like if you are truly pouring into him, like you're probably going to lose that game because you're really kind of committing yourself to just like one lane. And I think that's what like a lot of people are doing, opposed to using his spells as like potential outs or just different ways to get power on the board. Like I was a lot of times actually sacrificing Dormammu just to get Shang-Chi'd so I could get better null value. And I think that's what like helped a lot, but it's a tech meta we're back in right now. And you know, Shadow King and Shang-Chi are everywhere again. So this card kind of falls a little bit flatter now with everyone running that. So I'm putting him probably right below Khonshu because Khonshu has easier combos to hit. But this brings us to our last card, Clea, which I feel like I was kind of wrong on when this card first released. Like I gave her a low rating, not saying she's a very high rated card, but like when you do get the Clea combo going, those fault teams hurt. Like,
yeah, I agree. So I gave her 3.5 originally. I'm probably roughly around there. I want to play her a lot more because one of my more favorite decks that I've sort of brewed this year is a Scarlet Spider deck, like Lasher, Scarlet Spider, kind of Nomura stuff. That I've also got a version which is like more mergers, so like Hulkbuster and stuff. So I want to play her in that style deck a bit more. But everything I've seen of her, she's good. The full teams are scary, as you say. Because not just obviously the -3, but it's the fact that it frees up that space as well. They're not taking up that board presence. Yeah, nice. I like her. And also I think she does a lot for a 1-cost card. Like, I like that we're moving into quite complex cards, especially with their Grand Arena. Some of those skills are so specific. So I really like that we're really getting into a complex sort of state. So yeah, she's really cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think we put her at a 3-star above Ares.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good.
And I think we're going to move just Thaddeus Ross down 1, and we're going to move Elixir down, and I think we're in a pretty good spot. Actually, I'm going to move Joaquin down there too. In a pretty decent spot here as we do wrap up the tier list right now. If you guys have any changes or comments you guys think that we should have made or you guys would like to make, let us know down below. Also, Rez, if you want to shout out where everyone can find you once again.
Yeah, so check out RezSnapper on YouTube. Not the fish. I know I might look like a fish. I am not a fish. And there's no cooking. There's limited cooking stuff on my channel. No, it is Snap stuff. Yeah, what have I got coming soon? Oh, yeah, I'm working on a Cersei video. It's going to be some sort of like in-depth analysis of Cersei, like judging which costs you actually want to transform. And I've started doing the maths on it. Lauren helped me out with a spreadsheet and getting the data and stuff. And the results might surprise you. So cool. So yeah, check it out.
Yep, definitely check out all this content. Will be down in the description below. Want to say thank you so much for hanging out today, Rez. And this is really fun just to be able to talk Snap and like thoroughly talk about each of these cards individually.
Yeah, this was awesome, man. Thank you very much for arranging it.
Yeah. And until the next time, it's been real. God bless and laters.